Good afternoon, everyone. This is Max, and welcome to another episode of Max Bytes, my mini podcast I do exclusively for my Telegram and Twitter subscribers. How's everybody doing? It's Monday, and it's a wonderful day as we have just won the free speech wars. I have no doubt in my mind the tide has turned, as I said it would. We've been through a lot of turmoil over the last couple of years, and it's nice to see things breaking in our way again. We've been doing a lot of winning lately too, but this is a major win because it affects a major area of our lives, and that's an institution of free speech, which is the hallmark of a democracy. Anyways, when I do my mini bites, Max Bites are really a positive mini podcast, and they're typically not that long. But what I'm going to do today is answer a lot of questions, because I do try to answer questions posted on threads when I discuss. I'm going to be, I put out a post about an upcoming Max Bites, and then I have hundreds of people that leave me questions there, and I try to get to all of them, so I'm going to do that. But I'm going to lead in actually first with the discussion. Yeah, Elon Musk has bought Twitter. As I record this, he is the owner of Twitter. It's official. He promises to take the company private. Major changes. One of the things that hasn't gotten a lot of circulation that should have is he's going to expose or discuss, or I think it's really the word is expose, the algorithms on Twitter that in a sense cause censorship. He promises to rein in a lot of the ideological censoring that's been going on at Twitter. He also has balanced that out with the fact that in his view, the extremes are you should peeve the extremes off, and equally, it's been lopsided. The extreme right has been censored, really the right in general. Even satire is now, jokes are censored. It's ridiculous. Where the left is kind of left alone. So he's going to balance that out. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think this is very important, so get a pen and paper out, as I tell my students all the time. What I think is going to happen is this is going to be a slow evolution of Twitter. Don't expect things to change tomorrow or the next day or the next day. Sure, some significant things may happen. The Babylon Bee may suddenly be unsuspended tomorrow, for instance. However, what I think is going to happen is he's a methodical individual. When he took over Tesla, he kind of muscled his way to the top. He changed the culture at Tesla. He changes the conversation, but it doesn't happen overnight. That's not looking at things realistically. And I think what he's going to do is he's going to come in, set up groups, or he probably already has these in place, and they're going to look and examine Twitter, its policies, its terms of service, everything from the bottom up, top down, okay? And really from the bottom up. Then he's going to probably do a top-down approach that's going to change the culture there. So I'll say that again. I think he's going to come in, he's going to look at everything that needs to be done. They're going to propose different, his team is going to propose, and him, of course, because he's very actively hands-on involved, and they're going to propose many different changes, and then he's going to do a top-down change. And I say top-down because I think, frankly, members of the board are going to be looking for work. When they made out like bandits today. They made millions of dollars. They're extremely wealthy now because of his buyout. What does this, in a practical sense, entail? Ideologically, the things that were getting people censored or banned, for instance, conversations about Hunter Biden's laptop, something like that, even though, and it was well sourced, by the way, because the New York Post is a reputable newspaper, that's never going to happen again. Conversations like questions about the vaccine. I think that's a very controversial thing. You'll be more slow to changing that, but allowing people to question the efficacy of the vaccine, to question whether or not the mandates should even be allowed, to question whether or not people should be forced to wear masks, things like that, getting people censored, that's going to change. Now tie that into what Musk has been talking about, and people around him talking about him exposing the algorithms, putting that stuff out there that, it's not always a tech on Twitter behind a computer that's suspending somebody. It's often an algorithm that triggers a lockout. And those algorithms have been tweaked and conditioned to look for certain things that affect disproportionately conservative ideology that's being spread. That's where the censorship came in, okay? Because if we go back in time, Twitter 10 years ago was a major free speech platform. And Donald Trump ran his campaign in 2016 largely from his Twitter account. So it wasn't this place of censorship until more recent years. Really starting, I would say, 2-3 years ago, where it started to mark things Trump would say as questionable. And those type of labels you may see go, because we don't know what Elon Musk, at least I don't know what Elon Musk's view is of like Wikipedia as a source, or the CDC. We know what his view is of the CDC. We know what his view is of the vaccines. We know what his view is of COVID for the most part. He doesn't really buy into all of that, the hysteria. He doesn't. But he's a libertarian. You know what that means? He's a true liberal, a true social and political liberal in a lot of the traditional sense of the word. And he's going to anger people on the left and the right at times, my opinion, but more on the left. And the reason that stands out and is so pronounced right now is because the pendulum is swung so far against the right that he's going to balance that out. Okay, so I think it's going to be a slow process, a slow change, and you're not going to see overnight all of a sudden accounts appear. I'm going to tell you something. If you think that everybody that's ever been banned is going to be unbanned, it's ridiculous. I think IP addresses and stuff that have been banned and blocked by Twitter, that will change. But I think that if you had an account a year ago and it's gone, they erase data after 30 days typically. When you deactivate your account on Twitter, if you don't log back in within 30 days, it's deleted. They delete it from their databases. So, now President Trump's account, public figures, they're archived, so they can reactivate those with a flip of the switch. Someone asked me if accounts that were following Trump, if all the accounts that were following, if they'll suddenly be restored to Trump. It depends. I mean, if those counts still exist, yes. And what did Trump have, like 78, 79 million followers? So let's say 10 million of them no longer exist or 20 million of them no longer exist. He'll probably be 10 or 20 million short. So these are good questions, practical questions, and it all depends on the software and the programming, and I don't know. But the thing is, the most important thing is, will Trump, like for instance, will Trump be unbanned? I think eventually that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen right away because it's very controversial, but I think we're going to get there. The real key, in my opinion, a good test is going to be whether or not someone that's been banned for something very innocuous is unbanned in the Musk era of Twitter. And I keep thinking of the Babylon Bee, which is their account is still up. They're just locked out of it. They're not really suspended. They're kind of locked out of it. It's not a true suspension. And they won't delete the tweet that they put up, nor should they. I think it was a great tweet. I wish I had thought of that one. You know me, I love satire and I love making my own jokes. I have my own routine, right? And, I just think that right there is so innocuous. When they are allowed back in to their account, that's a sign things are really starting to change. When Trump's unbanned, of course, that means things have completely gone back to normal, which means like people on both right and left can now argue with each other without being afraid of being suspended. And the fringes, the violent fringes, and they're all over the place. I don't really believe in the whole right and left thing. I have a whole philosophy that's different than most people. I don't really see it as right and left in my own mind. I just articulate it like that so everyone can relate to it. But because people can go so far to the right, they come up on the left and vice versa, frankly. Just think about it for a moment. People's opinions constantly evolve. But the thing is, violent, hateful, and I say hateful. What is hate speech? Hate speech is free speech. People have a right to hate, right? But I mean violent speech. Somebody's going around saying this person should be killed or that's going to be continually censored. I wouldn't say jump on Twitter and start acting like an idiot because you're probably still going to get into trouble. Of course, nothing's really changed right now. So looking at trying to be sober-minded about it, but I think things are going to change. Frankly, now, should you go back on Twitter? That's a personal call. I never left. I just don't post as much there because of the environment. But I never left. I remember all these people when Trump was suspended saying, I'm never going back. I'm not talking about, my followers. I'm talking about some big accounts, some established blue check marks that were conservative saying, hey, I'm never going to come back here again. And then they never really left. They left for like a day and then they ended up coming back. I believe in all of the above. I believe in extending. I believe in expanding. I believe in using everything available, every tool available. Twitter is a tool, okay? But it's a very big tool. To just walk away from it and say we don't need it or we shouldn't now take it over is stupid. When Musk started polling people a little over a month ago, should we have an alternative to Twitter? Should we have an alternative platform, a social media platform? And people were saying yes. I said to him, what was my statement? Just buy Twitter. Like, what do you have to go out and build a new software? I mean, how many times are we hearing this in the last year about a new conservative alternative to Twitter, and it never goes beyond a few million users? Let me put this in perspective for you. And I did this today. You go on my Telegram account, and I love posting on Telegram. Telegram's a great, I think they have 500 million users worldwide. It's mostly international, but Telegram I like a lot because it has an edit button, and I love their chat rooms. I maintain some really good chat rooms. And my thing to you, if you really, really are interested in this, is that you should join my Telegram channel because it's a really, really nice and useful place where people can talk and post things, providing they follow the rules. But I remember on Telegram posting this earlier today. I posted it earlier today, excuse me. And what did I say? I said, you've got 4 million users on Gap after 5 years. You got 4.5 million users on Getter. Okay, you've got we don't really know what Truth Social is going to end up being at the end of the day. Parler is the only one that really made it big briefly. They went, and from November of 2020 to January of 2021, they went up to 20 million users, so Twitter really hated them. They're down to 700,000 since they've been deplatformed. All right. Twitter's got 217 million users, and it's a bad year for them. It's a really bad year for them. So I think at one point a few years ago, before they started censoring people, they were up to 300 million. That's huge. That's a huge platform. So yes, I think you should be on Twitter, and I think you really should be using all the different platforms. Do I think Trump's going to go back? The fact of the matter is, I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't know whether Trump's going to be back there or not. It's his call, but I think he'll be unbanned. My recommendation would be for him to go back there and get on there because it's a bigger audience. And you're not just talking to a crowd you're not talking to the choir, you're talking to everybody there. And that's the thing. You should be out there talking to everybody, right? Like, I mean, it's funny. I want everybody to read what I post. I mean, that's why I'm on all these different platforms. Duh. That's just common sense. All right. Anyway. Let me get to some questions. That's my take on Twitter. We'll see where it goes. I think it's all good for us, and hopefully we start seeing some action there sooner rather than later. So I'm looking through my posts here, and I got a lot of people here saying, hi, Dawn, hi, David, Everett, Kim, Lynn, Kelly, Caroline. Wow, how's everybody doing? Terry is... Guys, a lot of you guys have been to my seminars. How's it going? Which reminds me, by the way, this week is my seminar, Samurai versus Knight, the Life of a Medieval Warrior. Get your mind out of politics for a while. Unplug. Come back with me into medieval times. Let's talk about two of the greatest warriors ever. April 28th to the 30th. Contact Kathy Darby or Roxy Balboa to sign up. Tell them I sent you. You definitely want to attend the seminar. And of course, next month is Civics Maximus 2022. I'll unveil my full election projections for November. That's May 20th to the 21st. So contact Roxy and Kathy. I leave their handles in this post or right below the audio. So how you doing, Charles, Beth, M, how are you? Marie, Adam, how's it going, Adam? X, and I'm just reading, by the way, if you don't know what I'm doing, I read what people are saying. They're asking me to do everybody's asking me to do a Max Bytes, so I'm doing it. Elena, how are you? Fadia, how's it going? I got people from all over the world. This is wonderful. Jason Telemann, he's a frequent in Maximus Uncensored, and he's saying here, question, what's up with the Department of Education trying to get forgiveness on student loans? My understanding is that this is a budgetary issue since it would add to the national debt and there would be congressional approval. Actually, I don't have I just think they're just trying to appeal to students because Biden's approval rating is in the gutter with young people. So they're just trying to appeal to that segment before the elections. That's all that is, in my opinion. Hi, Lynn. Lauren. Don is saying hi. Yocasta, how are you? Yocasta, frequent to my seminars. Bree, how's it going, hon? One of Max's angels. Don't we love the angels? Everybody should just say hi to the angels because they do a lot of work in the background for me. Russ. Dee Dee, how are you? Vern, Ryan, Laura's asking, who do you think the Speaker of the House is going to be in the midterms? I think at the end of the day, the odds are still in favor of McCarthy. I think that nothing's really changed. Ask me again in a few months. I'll know more in the late summer. I mean, I really hope I would love Jim Jordan to be Speaker, but I think he's going to be very content being the chairman of, what is it again? I've got a mental block here. Is it the Judiciary Committee on the House, I think? I forgot which one it is he's actually going to be chairman of. JBW saying hi. We got M&M. Popples. What a cute name. Popples 3 saying hi. Geo. Candy. Title 42, will it be continued? Oh, that's a hard one. I think ultimately it's up to the courts. I don't know at this point. I mean, the administration has lost so many times in court, though. The odds are it'll be restored or it'll be continued. Pewter Quill is saying hi. E.H. Liston. Linda, I would love your thoughts on the open southern border and the impacts. Long-term, civilization changes. If you go back to ancient Rome, one of the last, not the first, but one of the last things that destroyed the Roman Empire in the West was they had open borders. The borders collapsed, essentially. So they ended up with Germanic raiders coming in and disrupting the political function of the empire. But that was a more of a symptom of a longer term problem that the empire in the West was dealing with, which was just bad politics and a social breakdown of the family unit, which is exactly what's happening in the Western civilization today, Euro America, and especially in the United States. And so, I mean, long term, it's bad. But what's interesting is there's a paradox to this. A lot of the families that are coming into the country and immigrating legally from south of the border, don't forget, there's a ton of Hispanics that come into this country every year legally, and they're becoming voters, and they're influencing their family members through chain migration, and they're very conservative, quite a few of them. Whether they're from Venezuela, Cuba, San Salvador, you name it, they're escaping oppression and they're turning out to be right-wing ideologues. So the funny thing, I mean, my point is generally the Hispanic population in America is moving strong to the right. So, and I'm using open borders here as an analogous to with Hispanic immigration, because when you refer to it, you're usually referring to the southern border. That's where the problem is, and mostly Hispanics come up from, or Latinos come up from the southern border. So, do I think it'll have an impact on the elections? Yeah, I think people along the border states, like for instance Texas, how many of those border counties or districts are shifting right for the election? Dudu says hi. Monica, hello. Tiffany, hi. Lee, I mean, all of you guys, I know all of you. How you all doing? You're just great because they're always saying something in the rooms. They're always talking. A lot of you attend my seminars. You should sign up for my next seminar again, Samurai versus Knight, Thursday and Friday and Saturday. This Thursday, Friday, Saturday, DM Kathy, DM Roxy. Their handles are below. Tell them to sign up. If you're having a financial hardship, you can't make it, I got sponsorships. If you want to attend, the time isn't working, tell Roxy what dates would work for you. I may put together an encore. Beth is saying hi. Another Lynn is saying to me, please, would love your thoughts on the fact that Biden wants to increase taxes, which would send us into a recession or a stagnation, if not worse, a depression. If we take control of the House and the Senate, I know it would make him a lame duck. However, would it still stop no. Biden can't raise taxes unilaterally. The president enforces laws. Congress passes the laws. Only Congress can raise taxes, so don't worry about that, Lynn. That wouldn't even happen if the Democrats stayed in control. They don't have the votes. Manchin and Sinema would never go for it, so you can forget about it. Nikki, your thoughts, please, on the World Treaty with the WHO. Okay, Nikki keeps asking about this. I saw her asking about this again in another post. Treaties become law of the land, but I do not believe that that treaty will be adopted. The Senate would have to ratify it. It takes, I believe, 67. Believe, of course, it does take 67 votes. Congress would have to ratify it. They're just not going to two-thirds majority. They're just not going to do it. I'm not worried about it in the least. In other words, Mary, I enjoyed listening to you yesterday. You have a very comfortable voice. Thank you so much, Mary. I would like to know if you have any negative reports on DeSantis. No, I like DeSantis a lot. If Trump's not the nominee, I want DeSantis to be the nominee. I want DeSantis to be the vice president and then the president in 2028 and 2032. That's it. That's how I want things to work out. Will they work out like that? I don't know. I know Trump is going to run. I just don't know for sure who he'll pick as his vice president. I suspect it's going to be DeSantis. Trump may have to officially move to New Jersey or something. He should officially move to Nevada, in my opinion. But anyway, that's another topic. Miss Adissa, how are you, Miss Adissa? Let's see here. Jackie Abramson, how are you? Shalom. Miss Adissa says, since you didn't specify 300 replies from different, I sometimes specify, you guys, I can be here all night. She keeps replying. That's sweet. Thank you so much. Wisteria, Natalie, Stephanie, Williams, how are you? Desert Plains, check your DMs. By the way, I responded to your request about homeschooling, Desert Plains. I don't know if you saw that yet. Jennifer Tribby, question from Miss Adissa. If love some positive specific news on she'd love some positive specific news on Illinois. I will have some news on Illinois at Maximus, Civics Maximus 2022, May 20th to 21st. That'll be one of the states I highlight. I'm not going to get into all these. I can't get into every race. It would fill up my timeline, and I'm just not going to do it. That's going to be 2 days, 2 evenings, about 6 hours to 8 hours, really, of just discussing the elections with everybody that attends. We'll go through a bunch. We won't hit every race, but we'll go through. And then the races that some people will have, I won't maybe cover, we can get in touch with. And when Maximus Premium is rolled out, I'll be dropping updates on that. Maximus Premium, you want to definitely put your name down on the waiting list for that. That's going to be a separate Telegram. Actually, it's going to be off Telegram as well in the long run, but it'll be a separate room where I'll be posting updates and people can post questions there, and I will give responses to every question posed, in my opinion, give them my opinion on different topics. So that's going to be fun. Let's go on here. See, Josephina, Biden is appealing the overturn of the mask mandate. It's not going to happen. I can just tell you, I know where you're asking me with that question. It's not going to happen, so don't worry about it. What'll happen is, it'll go to the 11th Circuit, and the 11th Circuit will then either sustain the lower court's ruling or they could overturn it. An en banc or in-bank ruling would be in favor of the plaintiffs, not the Biden administration. In any case, the 11th Circuit Chief Justice is Clarence Thomas, and he would, if the ruling was ever for the administration, he would stay that ruling. So it's over. Don't worry about it. Let's see here. How are you doing, Sylvie? LL. Let's see. Josephina again. How's it going again? So Lisa's saying, how do we rid the Republicans of rhinos and replace McConnell as the majority leader? Voting in the primaries. Go out and primary them. Laura, how can you ensure rhinos never get elected? Rhinos get elected all the time. How you doing, Shelley? Rhinos are there. At the end of the day, they're a body, if you would, and a vote. So, what can I say? Okay, I'd like to know from Benjamin here. I'd like to know how ranking House and Senate party leaders are selected. Republican leaderships always seems to, it's, okay, seniority. That's how a lot of it happens. That's why Jim Jordan has worked himself up to now he's going to be chairman of a committee next time. He's worked himself up to that position. It takes time to get there. Rand Paul, same difference. Usually takes about 10 years. Why not Rand Paul? Or Rand Paul is going to be chairman of, I forgot what committee in the Senate. The one that oversees all the medical. I forgot the title of it. I'm sorry. MTG is not earned her time in the House, in my opinion, to be chairman of anything. That's my opinion. Is there somewhere that we can make sure we aren't voting for a rhino? I live in Ohio. Yeah. You know what? This is Lori. Lori, research the candidate. The term rhino is widely applied to anybody who, Yeah, I mean, it's usually used as a put down to anybody nobody likes on the right. It could be anybody. I mean, I've actually seen people call Donald Trump a rhino. As crazy as that sounds. So I don't really know what the term means anymore. It used to mean like John McCain or Mitt Romney, or Paul Ryan, but now it means like anybody that I've seen people call Rand Paul a rhino. I've seen people call I mean, how many people were called rhinos when, how many Republicans that we all like did not vote did not vote, voted to certify the results for Arizona in last year during the confirmation of the electoral votes on January 6th. I mean, you can name a lot of people rhinos that you probably like. A lot of them you like, and they just didn't vote for it. So see here. So I is saying hi. How you doing, Eyes? You'll be covering election projections in May, but do you think we'll have a veto-proof majority? I don't. In the House, they were very likely to have one. Senate, no, it won't happen in the Senate. Cade Rosera is asking about the mask mandate. I just said nope, it's not going to happen. Trish, how are you? Ian, Dawn, Manley, James Patterson, Aaron, how are you? Ian, do you think Truth Social has promise in being a successful platform? Meaning, should I focus more on it and wait to see what the results of Elon Musk's results are in? This is from a day ago, but I will say to you that the fact of the matter is, I think Truth Social is going to be another Getter. It's going to be a Getter 2.0, essentially. I said that today, and I think that there's nothing wrong with being on it. It's just going to always be a smaller platform. It's got a terrible rollout. Okay, if we're being honest, let's be honest. Everybody knows that it's been terrible. Okay, now you're pointing it out. Is it getting better? Yeah, because they teamed up with Rumble. They should have done that 2 months ago. I mean, if I was running it, you think about servers. That's something you think about. Like when the owner of Gab went off and he had to do his own thing, he built his own architecture. He always does this. And he got his own servers and he had to do that himself. He understood the dynamics in running a social media company. So what happened with Truth Social was a terrible rollout. Will it fix itself? It is fixing itself, but it doesn't negate the fact that it had a terrible rollout. Jeffrey, remember Parler? Yeah, I remember Parler. What do you make of the CDC telling the DOJ to appeal? Well, that's their prerogative, Maria. That's their prerogative. Hi, Dawn. What's going on, Rena? Sorry, Lord Arminus. Now that the DOJ will appeal, okay, a lot of it's on the mask mandate. I think I just answered that. So a lot of people had a question about that. Bill Davis, how are you? Barry Davis, how are you? I know I ask this each time. I don't know if I heard it before, but I think I should make a quick suggestion about Max Bytes, how to best cultivate positive. You cultivate positive. You stay away from temptations of wallowing in doom and gloom. God will always win. We need help to understand. Yes, thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. That's really sweet of you. Miss Adissa, also curious what your thoughts are on the Run for Something campaign on the left to run local elections. I don't really have an opinion on that. I just say on the right, we should be doing that. If there's not a candidate you can vote for locally, go out and run for the office yourself. That's what people do. I mean, everybody who's an elected official started off as an individual. They are individuals. They started off as average people. We're all candidates for office if we want to be. So go off and start running for office. What's going to happen with the DOJ challenge on the mask mandate? I just said I don't think it's not going to. I mean, we may get at first an adverse ruling, but I doubt it. And in any case, at the end of the day, we'll still prevail. You could see that from the beginning when they filed in Florida, which direction it was going. Upwards of 50%. Okay, this is, there's a conversation going here. Okay, Rich in Iowa. Okay, I'm not going to go back to the mask mandate. Let's see here. My husband, okay, they're saying my husband wishes you well. I'm hopeful. Answer. Thank you guys. Okay, a lot of questions about there being food shortages. I'm going to just say again, I don't really believe that that's going to happen. I don't think anyone's thinking of that today. I think if there are runs on items, it's self-induced, and that's when you end up with shortages. I'm just going to stick to that. That's just my opinion. I think people profit off of hysteria, and they love to say, hey, the end of the world is going to be tomorrow. Make sure you buy my food products. You see some advertisements like that. And I'm like, well, if it's going to be the end of the world tomorrow, why should I buy your food products? Why aren't you just giving them away? You know, does Lee Zeldin have a chance for governor? Absolutely. I've said it before. Nebraska's governor's race, attend Civics Maximus 2022. David Arnold, how you doing? Boy, I've got hundreds of people here. Unbelievable. Yes, please, to another Paradise Lake. She comes to all my seminars. Yes, please, to another Max Bytes. Thank you, sweetie. Claudia, how are you? Thank you so much. Linda, how are you? Thank you so much. Monica, Michael, B, Tiny Q Dancer. We've got a Q Anon person here. Wow. Okay, how's it going, hon? Diana, John, Raphael. That's a beautiful name. Laura, how are you? Beth, I'm going to vote twice. You're wonderful, Beth. Thank you so much. Another Michelle. Dustin, what's up, man? Home team. Zoe, how are you? I'm just saying hi to all of them now, okay? Mania 123, what would the process be to replace McConnell and McCarthy for their leadership roles? Okay, McCarthy and McConnell, okay, it's up to the Senate and the House. They vote for the leaders. So you contact your senators and your representatives and say, I don't want that guy as your majority leader. I don't want that guy as speaker. I want you to vote this way. And that's what they're supposed to do, but they don't always do that. Derek, do you think Roe v. Wade will be overturned? Yes, I do. And if that decision comes down, I will do a special one night seminar, I guess you can call it, Zoom meet with all of my followers if they want to join. I will set that up on the spare of the moment as soon as the ruling comes down. It'll probably be that night or the following night after the ruling comes down. I am leaning in the direction to thinking, Jamie, that it's going to be overturned, but it may not be. I think there's going to be some sort of split decision. I've mentioned this before. If you go up my timeline, go back several months, you'll be able to see I've kind of given out what I thought was going to happen. Let's see here. How's it going? Notberry, Janie, Mel. Question from Zatik. Do you think Florida's move to revoke Disney special privileges will be ruled unconstitutional because it is retaliation for? Okay, you're getting this from Jenna Ellison. No, I don't think it's going to be ruled as unconstitutional. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I've heard some good conservative lawyers debating both sides of this. I don't care what Jenna Ellis says, frankly, about this or anything else. CCJ, that would be most excellent. Cognitus, and I don't usually say anything disparaging about people that I disagree with. It's just I don't really care what she's saying about this. I saw her going on with Ron Coleman, who's another respected lawyer, and they disagree. And it's just a few people on the right that are saying it's unconstitutional, stifling free speech and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, why does any corporation get special treatment? I didn't even know about that because I don't live in that part of Florida. But I mean, I don't even like Disney World. But it's like, why do they have their own special treatment? Why doesn't another corporation have special treatment? Why doesn't PayPal, for instance, own its own resort, and have its own property? I mean, it doesn't make much sense. Pete, let's go. What will Dems do for Mary? What will Dems do to try to change the outcomes of the elections in November? They can't do anything. They'll just lie and bring up Trump more Trump in the January 6th protests and all this other nonsense. Legal chances of government appeal of a mask mandate, Vern, not going to happen. I would say less than zero. Bill, are we ready to address illegal ballot harvesting, drop boxes? We have been addressing all of this, Bill. We've passed election integrity reform in multiple states. Please do attend my seminars, and you would be well versed in all of this, Bill. So, Bill, contact Kathy, contact Roxy, have them start signing up for seminars. I've been going through this step by step for like a year and a half. Or actually, I would say I think I first started addressing it as early as March of last year. So anyways, because some of the states were already introducing legislation, I've been monitoring it with my attendees. Lisa, do you think Biden will face Democratic challenges in 24? He may. It's a good question. He may. Wendy, how are you? Going on? Mel, Brian, Eyes is back. Rebecca, Will, Blessed Babe, how you doing? Autumn Clark, thank you. I appreciate the affection. Soful, Joanna, Treva, Kathy, Brian, Juan, Stellar, May, Jim. Can Beetlejuice actually win the re-election in Chicago? Yes, because Chicago is virtually a lost cause. I hate to say that, but it is. Just like the guy over in New York that turned out to be a tutti frutti. Craig, how you doing? Kathy, are you enrolled for Kathy? Are you enrolled in Civics Maximus 2022? I'm just going through all of these. I'm reading too fast. Okay, Francisco, good Francisco, person here that's one of my oldest followers. Question one, the other couple questions. I think you guys are going to like it. Will the mask mandate ruling be overturned? Every conservative mainstream media is saying it will be. I'm going to just say it again. It may be in the first appeal, but in the non-bank ruling or when it goes to the Supreme Court, it would be overturned. If it was overturned, it would be that decision would be stayed. So we would end up winning inevitably. Question two. How can the Democrats be so stupid to end Title 42 and reinstate the mask mandates after people had a taste of freedom? It's political suicide. What am I missing? There's no explaining irrational behavior. You can't rationalize, you can't reason with someone who didn't reason themselves into the situation. You can't reason someone out of a situation that they didn't reason themselves into in the first place. So you can't rationalize the irrational. To do that is futile. And that's where people start coming up with all these crazy interpretations and saying that, something that sounds so crazy, is an explanation for something that sounds arcane or esoteric or, mysterious. And you end up with all this tutti frutti nonsense. And usually it's the simplest answer. That's the simplest answer. At the end of the day, that's the approach I take with many things. I don't look for, what does this mean? What is up their sleeve? How about they're just insane and stupid? How's that sound? Lisa, Todd, how are you? Deb, Victoria Brown, another person that comes to all my seminars. Eleanor, how's it going, Eleanor? El Mickey, how are you, hon? Kiloha, how are you? How's things going in Hawaii? Kat, Louise, Mary, what's going on with the MTG race and will she succeed? Carmi, I don't know. I think that I think we've already seen though I think all of this is going to be the Democrats' attempts to get some of these people removed from ballots is all going to fall through at the end of the day. I think that's all it means. I do, and I am very interested in your opinion on the Dems' attempt to MTGS from AB kicked off the ballot. Seems they found a judge willing to side with them. This seems scary. Again, and sorry, my phone's going off here in the background over and over again. That's Twitter alerts, actually. It's getting some people here engaging with my tweets. But, I just think it's ridiculous. I think anybody has a right. That's to bar someone from the ballot is a very undemocratic thing to do in a democracy. You don't bar people from a ballot. Okay, that's wrong. I wouldn't. I mean, I'd be saying the same thing if it was a Democrat that they were trying to crucify. I think this is preposterous. And if you want to start playing dirty like that, there are a lot of Democrats we can ban from ballots. In my opinion, and I question whether or not Obama should have ever been on a ballot. I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, conspiracy theory. Well, I don't subscribe to that myself. You never see me talk about it. I never did. But it's like, if we're going to start going down that trail, let's start bringing up everything, But no, I think it's ridiculous. And at the end of the day, look, everything ends at the Supreme Court. And if you think those justices on the court are going to side with a lower court, okay, saying that, no, this person can't be on the ballot because they led an insurrection that was never labeled an insurrection. She hasn't been charged with anything, nothing. Now, it's not going to work. This is just to get the left excited and donating to their coffers, okay? At the end of the day, it's to jimmy up energy on the left so people on the far left extreme think that their leaders are doing something. That's all. It's to raise money. Let's see here. Claudia, how are you? Marshall, what do you think will happen to the new head of Disney after this debacle? I think that, frankly, Disney has to fire the head of, the current CEO. I think at the end of the day that there's basically all the heads of Disney have to go. They have to all be fired. And I think Kennedy at Lucasfilm, that's the one I go back to. I'd like to see her replaced. What is it, Caroline Kennedy? No, it's Caroline Kennedy, my bad. I forgot her first name, but it's Kennedy over there. And she started as an assistant to Steven Spielberg. But I think she has to go. I think that there has to be a clean out of Disney in general. Do I think that the head of Disney will be fired from the CEO of the parent company of Walt Disney World? I don't know. There's such a huge company. It's so hard to predict that. It depends if they lose a lot of money. They're certainly losing a lot of subscriptions. So it's anybody's guess on that, Marshall. It's an interesting question. I'll have to think on that and get back to you. Lori Baldwin, I am really nervous about who to vote for in the primary. Again, Lori, go and do your research. Francisco's asking again about MTG. I just answered that. Let's see here. And Lisa's saying yes, yes, yes. And there's a few more here. Let me just get to this here. Skip through here. And I think I had some here. One here from skipping down here. Lower run. Oh, and Catherine will be allowed to run. I think Catherine will be allowed to run at the end of the day. I don't think you're going to really, I don't think any rulings to bar them from the ballot are going to be sustained. I think that on an appeal, you'll win. And no matter what, at the end of the day, the Supreme Court's never going to support this type of I can't say it, guys. I'm tired. The politicizing of the ballot in this way. I mean, the partisanship is just seething. And it's just ridiculous. It's so undemocratic to try to ban people from a ballot unless they've committed some sort of felonious crime that, really stands out. That's different. You wouldn't want a rapist or a murderer on a ballot, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people that haven't been accused of anything in a court of law. I mean, they just haven't. You don't like them? Let the people decide. It's undemocratic. At the end of the day, I think we win. Well, guys, I've handled that right there, and I've just answered all your questions that were posted. Let me know how you like this Max Bytes. I did it all in just over 40 minutes, which I think is a record since we had hundreds of questions. And post your comments and your questions and concerns and feedback below. I don't mind. Just say what you will, and I would appreciate any positive feedback is a big plus. Tell your friends about me, please. Pass on my handle to my Telegram and my Twitter account now. You can do it because I'm back on Twitter more or less full time. And also, you can follow me on all of the major platforms at Maximus, the number 4 EVR. It's always the same. Follow my YouTube and my Rumble channels as well. If you'd like to support me through PayPal, I can appreciate that. I really do. Also, the most important things, I think you'll really enjoy it. Sign up for my next 2 seminars. Samurai versus Knight, The Life of a Medieval Warrior, is going to be this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And May 20th to the 21st is going to be Civics Maximus 2022, and that's going to be my midterm projections. You're going to love it. Contact Roxy and Kathy. Any of the angels can help you, but my assistants, Roxy and Kathy Darby, Roxy Balboa, Kathy Darby, handles are below. Click them, DM them. They love receiving DMs. Just say hi. Inquire. They'll give you details. If you're having problems and you can't attend, time constraints, whatnot, let them know which dates work best for you, because I may put together special seminar encore presentations in my seminars live. These are live Socratic discussions where, the kids love it. I do seminars for kids too, Civics Maximus for young scholars, and they love it. And we have hundreds of kids to show up to those every few months. But whole families, it's a family environment, it's a family affair, and it's just great because you can discuss with me. It's not just me teaching, with discussions on topics. And we go for a history seminar can go 10 or 12 hours over 3 days. It's a really wonderful experience, and I really recommend you attend. So anyways, God bless you. I love you. Remember, we're winning, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Ciao.